He stood there in a wrinkled suit that wasn't quite his size, his hands trembling, not from fear, but from restraint. The courtroom was silent, cameras flashing, journalists whispering. In front of him sat the billionaire who had everything: power, wealth, and influence, and across the aisle sat the single dad veteran who'd already lost everything once. But what no one knew, not yet, was that the man standing on trial for a crime he didn't commit was once a Delta Force commander, and the billionaire he was accused of betraying owed his life to him. When Mark Hansen, a decorated Delta Force operator, came home from his final tour, he didn't come back as the hero people imagined. He came home broken, PTSD, nightmares, and the crushing weight of being both a widower and a single father to his 7-year-old daughter, Emma. He worked long shifts at a mechanic shop by day and volunteered at the local Veterans Center at night. He wasn't chasing glory anymore, he was chasing stability. That's when Daniel Cross entered his life, a tech billionaire with a smile that could buy trust and a handshake that felt like a promise. Daniel was launching a veterans rehabilitation project, a foundation designed to help soldiers transition back to civilian life. He said he wanted Mark on the board, someone who truly understood the cost of service. Mark hesitated at first, but the promise of steady pay and purpose, enough to give Emma a better life, was too good to refuse. For months, everything seemed perfect. The media praised Daniel as a visionary philanthropist. Mark became the face of the project, the humble hero giving hope to veterans. But then, one morning, Mark woke to police sirens and flashing lights outside his small home. They stormed in, arrested him in front of his daughter, and told him he'd embezzled $5 million from the foundation's funds. The foundation he helped build. The evidence was airtight: emails, wire transfers, signatures. Daniel looked shocked on the news, saying he never imagined Mark capable of betrayal. "It's tragic," he said to reporters. "But no one is above the law." Behind bars, Mark said nothing. He knew the truth: he'd been set up. Someone used his credentials, his access, and his reputation. But no one believed the word of a broken soldier against a billionaire. No one except an old teammate. Jake Raven Morales, another Delta Force veteran, saw the story on TV and knew instantly something was off. Mark Hansen was a lot of things, but a thief wasn't one of them. Raven flew across the country and started digging. He found inconsistencies, deleted files, encrypted messages, offshore accounts tied not to Mark, but to Daniel's holding company. The deeper he dug, the darker it got. Daniel wasn't helping veterans, he was using them. Laundering money through the charity, hiding behind the faces of heroes who'd never asked questions. When Mark finally stood in court, pale and tired but still dignified, the prosecution painted him as desperate and unstable. The defense had little hope, until the door opened and Raven walked in, holding a hard drive. What happened next became one of the most shocking courtroom moments in recent history. Raven testified about their missions together, about Mark's loyalty and sacrifice. Then he played the recording, an audio file pulled from a deleted backup. Daniel's voice, clear as day, laughing about, using the soldier face to keep the feds off his trail. The courtroom gasped. Daniel's lawyers tried to suppress the evidence, but it was too late. The truth exploded right there. Reporters swarmed. The billionaire's empire began to crumble overnight. Mark was exonerated, but he didn't celebrate. He simply walked out of court, holding Emma's tiny hand, whispering to her, "We're going home, kiddo." A few months later, the foundation reopened, but under new leadership. Mark and Raven turned it into a real mission this time, helping veterans get jobs, homes, and healing. No PR cameras, no luxury donors, just soldiers helping soldiers. One afternoon, a reporter asked Mark if he hated Daniel for what he did. Mark just smiled faintly and said, "Hate's heavy. I carried enough of that in war. I'll let truth do the work now." And as he looked out at the veterans rebuilding their lives, the ones he'd refused to abandon, Mark realized something. The billionaire took his reputation, his money, and his peace, but not his purpose. That belonged to him, and to the brotherhood that never forgot what real honor meant. So, if you're still watching this, remember this: no matter how powerful the lie, the truth will always find a voice. And sometimes, that voice belongs to someone who's already lost everything, except the courage to keep standing.